started with a note. Just 5 words. Don't drink it. Smile and walk away. She slid it across the bar like it was nothing. Like she wasn't warning a man who could end her life with a look. He read it, paused. Then he smiled, and grabbed her wrist. That's when everything changed. You see, this wasn't just any bar. And he wasn't just any man. He was the kind of man you don't warn. The kind of man you don't touch. But she did. And in that moment, she went from waitress to witness, from invisible to marked. Now she's on the run. Or maybe she's exactly where she's supposed to be. Because what she knows could burn his whole empire down. And what he wants might not be to stop her. It might be to keep her. Let me take you back to where it all began. Hi, my amazing friends and family. Welcome back to another story for today. If you are ready to enjoy this heartwarming story, smash the subscribe button and comment where you're watching from. I love seeing all your names and places. Also, don't forget to check out more of our interesting videos on the channel. And guess what? Tomorrow, I have got an even more exciting story to share with you that I know you'll love. Now, back to the story. It was a Thursday night, the kind of night where the city didn't sleep, where money and secrets passed hands in whispers and candlelight. Whisk was glowing like it always did. Golden lights floated above velvet booths. Slow jazz curled in the air like smoke. And the kind of people who never said sorry were sipping drinks that could pay someone's rent. The room was full, but quiet. Everyone knew how to behave here. You dressed well, you spoke softly, and you didn't ask names. At the far end of the bar stood Sarah. Black dress, hair pulled back, no jewelry. She didn't speak unless she had to. She poured drinks, wiped counters, and stayed invisible. That's what made her perfect. No one noticed her, and that's how she survived. But that night, everything changed. It started with him, Damien Moretti. He stepped into Whisk like he didn't need permission. He didn't need guards, didn't need backup. He was the kind of man who made everyone go quiet without raising his voice. Black tailored suit, shiny shoes, tattooed hands that looked like they could hold a glass or break a neck. He didn't glance around. He walked straight to table 9. His usual, right under the brass chandelier. Leather booth, perfect view of every entrance. He didn't look at the menu, didn't look at Sarah. Just said, "You know what I like?" Sarah nodded. She already had the bottle in hand. Aged whiskey, no ice. It was the same every time. One pour, no words. Simple. Until someone else showed up. Eli. Too clean. Too eager. One of those men who smiled like they'd been practicing it in the mirror. He leaned in over the bar, right as Sarah turned to pour. And that's when she saw it. His hand moved fast. Barely a flick of the wrist. Something clear slipped into the glass. Just a drop. Barely noticeable. Gone in a second. But Sarah saw it. And she knew what it meant. Her body froze, but her mind didn't. Her memory flashed like a slap. A different bar. A different night. Her father collapsing before he could finish his drink. She couldn't stop it then. But she could now. Sarah reached under the bar. Her hands were steady even if her heart wasn't. She grabbed a napkin and a pen. She didn't think. She just wrote, "Don't drink it. Smile and walk away." She folded the note in 2, slid it under the glass, then walked it to the table like she was carrying a ticking bomb. Damien watched her, his face calm, but his eyes, they were too sharp, too still. She placed the drink down, didn't speak, didn't blink. Her fingers slipped away, but just before she turned, his hand closed around her wrist. Not rough, not gentle, but final, like something had just been decided. He didn't touch the glass. He picked up the note instead, unfolded it, read it slowly. No reaction, No words. Just that slow smile, like he already knew this night was about to go sideways. Then he looked at her. Not like most men did. Not like she was pretty. Not like she was useful. Like she had just set a fire. And he wanted to see how far she'd let it burn. His voice was quiet, almost soft, but it cut right through the noise of the bar. "Who are you?" Sarah didn't answer. Her lips parted, but no sound came. His grip didn't tighten, but it didn't let go either. The napkin lay between them like a secret too big for either of them to hide. She finally spoke. One word. "Sarah." No last name. No lie. Just that. His eyes didn't move. He studied her like she was a code. Like maybe she was the problem, or maybe she was the answer. Behind him, the bar kept moving. Waiters walked by. Glasses clinked. But none of it felt real. This was the only moment that mattered. Then he let go of her wrist. Slow. Like he was releasing a trigger. Sarah stepped back. But before she could breathe, Eli raised his own glass. Watching. Waiting. Pretending he hadn't done anything. Damien turned his head. Met Eli's eyes. And smiled. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't fake. It was deadly. Then Damien stood. Still didn't touch the drink. Still didn't say a word. He walked past Eli. Not fast. Not slow. Just steady. Like he had made a decision. He stopped in front of the bar again. Sarah hadn't moved. Her pulse was hammering, but her face didn't show it. He looked at her. Like she owed him something. Like this moment wasn't over. "Come with me," he said. Not loud. Not rushed. But clear. Sarah blinked. Shook her head just a little. "No," she whispered. His eyes narrowed. "You don't get to walk away now." She froze. Not because of the threat, but because deep down, she knew he was right. What she saw tonight, what she did tonight, was a door she couldn't close again. Everything after this moment was going to pull her deeper, and she had already stepped in. The quiet life was over. This was the first move, the first flicker, the first spark, and Damien Moretti was holding the match. The music was still playing out there, the jazz, the low hum of whispers, but in here it was dead quiet. Damien Moretti didn't say another word in the bar. He just nodded toward the velvet curtain behind the booth. And Sarah followed. Her feet moved, but her mind was racing. Every step felt like she was walking into a lion's mouth, and the lion was holding it open just for her. The hallway behind the curtain was dark and narrow, lit only by red bulbs that made everything look like spilled wine. Damien's shadow stretched long across the walls. He didn't look back, just walked, like he already knew she was coming, like she didn't really have a choice anymore. And she didn't. The last door on the left opened with a soft click. Inside was a small room, wood-paneled walls, leather chairs, one small table, and silence. Damien stepped inside, held the door for her, then shut it behind them. The lock clicked. Sarah stood near the wall, unsure where to put her hands. Damien sat first, leaning back, legs crossed, looking at her like she was a puzzle someone dumped in front of him, and he was going to solve it piece by piece. His voice came low, even, deadly calm. "Start talking." Sarah swallowed. The air felt heavier in here, too thick, like she wasn't allowed to breathe without permission. "I saw him pour something into your drink," she said quietly. "Clear. Small bottle. Fast hands." Damien's face didn't move, not even a flicker. "And," he asked, "you decided to be a hero?" "No," she answered. "I just didn't want to see someone die tonight." His eyes narrowed. "But you saw everything. You caught him in the act. And you're just a waitress." She didn't answer. He already knew she wasn't. Damien leaned forward. His elbows rested on his knees. That sharp jaw of his tilted just slightly. "What else did you see?" Sarah hesitated. He waited, like a hunter with time to kill. She took a breath, spoke slowly, clearly. His watch was cheap, but his suit wasn't. He borrowed it, probably from someone who owed him. It didn't fit across the shoulders, wrinkled at the elbows. Damien didn't blink. His stare was cutting deeper now. He didn't look at the drink. He looked at you, waiting to see if you'd notice. But he didn't smile right. His eyes were too still. He was scared, trying not to show it. But his hand, it shook after he dropped it in. Silence again. Then Damien nodded. Just once. Like she'd passed a test she didn't even know she was taking. "You read people," he said. "Not just see them." Sarah didn't reply. That wasn't a question. Damien leaned back. His eyes studied her, softer now, but still razor sharp. "So what are you really?" She didn't want to say it. Didn't want to open that door. But it was already open. "Used to be a grifter," she said. "Small time. Me and my brother. Card games. Pockets. Fake IDs. We got good at reading the room. Knowing who to fool. Who to avoid. And you? I was the lookout." Damien gave a slow nod. Like her answer just confirmed something he already believed. "And where's your brother now?" The silence answered for her. His eyes flicked down, then back up. "You don't lie easy. That's rare." Sarah looked at the floor. She didn't know what this was. An interrogation? An audition? Whatever it was getting darker by the second. Damien stood. She tensed. But he only walked toward the door. Unlocked it. Opened it. Then turned to her. "You can breathe now." Sarah didn't move. "Why did you bring me back here?" she asked. Damien looked her dead in the eye. "Because you saw something you shouldn't have. And you stepped into my world." "I didn't ask to." He shrugged. "You did anyway." She took one step forward. "So what now? You gonna kill me?" That smile again. Cold. Slow. "No," he said. "If I wanted you dead, you'd already be on the floor." He stepped aside. "But you don't get to walk away either." Sarah looked at him, heart pounding in her ears. He was offering something. She just didn't know what it cost yet. "I need answers," Damien said. "And you're good at finding them. I'm not part of this." "You are now." She paused, then gave a quiet nod. Damien reached for his phone, tapped it once. A black car pulled up outside the side entrance 2 minutes later. No plates, tinted windows, engine humming like a panther waiting to pounce. Sarah didn't argue, didn't run. She walked beside him through the quiet back door, into the night air that felt too warm for what was about to come. The car door opened. Damien held it, not like a gentleman, like a decision. She looked inside. Black leather, cool air, silence. This was it. The end of her quiet life. The end of blending in. The end of being the girl no one noticed. She stepped in. The door shut behind her. Clean click, like sealing a vault. And the car pulled away. The car moved smooth as silk. Sarah sat alone in the back, wrapped in black leather and cold silence. The windows showed nothing, just her reflection in the dark. Still, staring back at herself. Beside her, Damien didn't speak. He sat like a statue, hands resting calmly, eyes forward. He had the stillness of a man who never needed to run, because everyone else ran first. The city lights faded behind them. The buildings grew taller, cleaner, colder. Then the car turned left, disappeared into a private underground garage. Steel doors sealed behind them. When she stepped out, the floor was polished black stone. The air smelled like leather and money. Damien walked ahead, Security glass scanned him with a soft blue light. One blink. The door opened, and just like that, she was inside. His world. The apartment was high above the city. So high the streets looked like veins under glass. Everything inside was dark wood and matte black. Floor-to-ceiling windows. No curtains. No hiding. The lights were low, soft gold spilling across polished floors. And the silence. It wasn't empty. It was owned. No photos. No clutter. Just power. Cold and quiet. Damien dropped his coat on a chair. Didn't look at her. Didn't ask her to sit. He walked to the bar by the window. Poured a drink. Only one. "I don't poison my own whiskey," he said. Sarah didn't smile. She stayed near the door. Like touching anything in here might wake up something dangerous. Damien turned to face her. Glass in hand. "Eli didn't act alone," he said. "He was sent. The kind of guy who doesn't think for himself. Just follows orders." Sarah didn't speak. She didn't need to. "He was sloppy," Damien added. "But someone wanted him to be seen. Someone wanted him to fail." Her voice came quiet, flat. "So I'd see it." Damien gave one slow nod. "And step in," he said. "Like you did. Like they hoped you would." Her stomach turned. "You think it was a trap?" "Not for me," he said. "For you." Sarah froze. A cold breath caught in her chest. "I'm just a waitress." "No," Damien replied. "You're not." She didn't answer. Didn't have to. He stepped closer. Not fast. Just steady. "You saw everything. You remembered details I missed. You read him like a book." She stayed quiet. "I have people with military backgrounds who don't notice that much," he said. "And you did." In heels and a black dress. While pouring a drink. He took another sip. Watched her over the rim of the glass. "Someone knew exactly where you'd be. What you'd do. And they used you to send me a message." Sarah backed up a step. "This isn't my war," she whispered. "Maybe not," he said. "But you're in it now." Her hands curled into fists. "I didn't ask for this." Damien's voice dropped. Low. Still. Final. "They saw you." He stepped even closer. "They know your face. Your name. Your walk. That makes you a liability." Sarah's throat tightened. "What happens to liabilities in your world?" His eyes didn't flinch. "They vanish. Or they become useful." Sarah looked away. Her pulse throbbed in her ears. Damien turned and walked to a hallway. No threat in his voice. Just calm fire. "You have tonight," he said. "Think about what you want." She didn't move. Didn't trust her legs. He nodded toward a side door. "Guest room. Clean sheets. Locked from the inside. No one will touch you." Sarah stood there. Still breathing like her lungs forgot how. Then she stepped forward. Down the hall. One door. Then another. She opened the guest room. Dark wood. Cream sheets. Silent walls. She closed the door behind her. Locked it. Then leaned against it with her eyes shut. This wasn't a dream. It was too sharp. Too real. Too cold. She sat on the bed. That's when she saw it. A photo. Framed. Not on the wall. But tucked near a stack of old books on the corner shelf. She picked it up. Two people. Younger. Damien. Smiling. Beside him, a girl. Same eyes. Same sharp jaw. But her smile was wider. Brighter. Real. Sarah turned the frame over. One date. Faded. 10 years ago. She looked at it again. Longer. The girl in the photo didn't look like someone who belonged in Damien Moretti's world. She looked like someone he might have tried to protect. Maybe once. Sarah put the photo down. The room felt heavier now. She lay down on the bed. But her eyes didn't close. The lights were off. But her thoughts were loud. What was this? Why her? And why didn't she run? Because some part of her didn't want to. Some part of her knew. She was already in too deep. And maybe, just maybe, she had always been waiting for something to pull her out of her old life. Even if it dragged her through hell to get there. She sat up, picked up the notepad beside the bed, wrote 6 words. I'll help, but on my terms. She tore the page out, walked to the door, slipped the note under it, then climbed back into bed, still wide awake. Her eyes stared at the ceiling, her fingers curled into the blanket, and her mind whispered the truth she wasn't ready to say out loud. This was not about saving herself anymore. It was about finishing something, and it had just begun. The sun had just started bleeding through the city's edge, brushing the glass walls of Damien's apartment with gold. Sarah hadn't slept. She heard his voice before she saw him. "Come in," Damien said without turning around. He was already in his office, standing behind a long black desk, one hand on the mouse, the other wrapped around a half-empty coffee mug. She stepped in slowly. The walls were lined with shelves and security screens. Live feeds, old footage, zoomed-in frames frozen in time. Damien looked over his shoulder. His eyes flicked to her face, then to the folded note in her hand. He didn't need to read it. He already knew. "You're in?" he asked. Sarah gave a soft nod. "On my terms," she reminded. He turned fully now, leaned against the desk, arms crossed. "Fair," he said. Then he pointed to one of the screens. "You said Eli wasn't working alone. Let's find out who watched him work." Sarah stepped beside him. The footage was already rolling. Last night, different angles. The main bar. Camera 2 showed Eli stepping up to the counter. Camera 4 followed Sarah carrying the drink. But it was camera 6 that caught her attention. She leaned closer. "Pause it," she whispered. Damien froze the screen. There, in the reflection of the mirror behind the bar, half hidden behind a column, someone was watching. Not Eli. Watching Eli. A man in a dark jacket. Face blurred by distance, but sharp eyes. Sarah squinted. "There," she said. "Zoom on his right hand." Damien clicked. Zoomed. The image sharpened. Not clear, but just enough. A silver ring. Big. Old. Phoenix. Wings wide. Head tilted down. Wrapped in flames. Damien's whole body went still, like someone had just shut off his heartbeat. His hand dropped from the desk. His jaw clenched. Sarah watched his face. "You know the symbol," she said softly. Damien didn't look at her. He looked at the ring, like it was something he thought he'd buried years ago. "They were wiped out," he said. "The whole crew. 7 years back. I buried their boss myself." Sarah stepped back. "Not all of them," she said. His voice was quiet, but colder now. "That ring means something." Sarah nodded once, then quickly turned away. Her heart was beating faster. Too fast. Because she'd seen that ring before. A long time ago. In a box of things that belonged to her brother. Before he vanished. Before the con fell apart. Before the lies started chasing them instead of feeding them. She remembered it clearly. That same phoenix. Same silver burn. Same fire. She had touched it with her own fingers. Her brother had worn it like a secret. Said it meant we rise from the ashes. Told her not to ask more. She didn't. Now she wished she had. Damien noticed her silence. He turned toward her slowly. "You've seen it before." Sarah shook her head. "I just know what it means," she said carefully. "Do you?" he asked. She didn't answer. He stepped closer. "You're hiding something," he said. Sarah looked him in the eyes. "So are you," she whispered. The air between them grew heavier. Not angry, Not warm, just full of unsaid things. Damien turned back to the screen. Whoever he is, he's good, he said. No mistakes, no trace. But you caught him. Through a reflection. Sarah stepped beside him. Eyes still on the screen. It was a habit, she said quietly. When we ran games, mirrors told us who was watching, who was about to lie. We trusted glass more than people. Damien didn't respond, but his eyes didn't leave her. Sarah stood straight, crossed her arms. There's something else, she added. Look at how Eli held the glass. Damien replayed the footage. Frame by frame, Eli's fingers were trembling. Barely, but enough. You said he was a messenger, she said. Then someone scared him more than you do. Damien smiled. Just a little. Not many people manage that, he said. Sarah didn't smile back. Her eyes were still locked on the reflection. He was being watched, she said. Not to succeed, but to fail. Damien tapped the screen off. Silence again. He turned to her. Really turned this time. Studied her face. Carefully. You see things like no one else, he said. She looked away. It's not a gift, she replied. It's how I survived. He stepped closer. You're not like the others, he said softly. Her breath caught. She didn't move. Didn't speak. Damien raised his hand. Touched her wrist. The same wrist he held at whisk. His thumb brushed over the skin. Light. Slow. You don't miss much, he said. His voice barely more than a breath. That's dangerous. Sarah didn't pull away, but she didn't move closer either, because she knew, from this moment on, they were both in too deep, and danger wasn't just around them anymore. It was standing right between them. Sarah's skin still tingled where Damien had touched her wrist, but he had already turned away, just like that. Now they were walking down a long black hallway. Her heels clicked on the marble. The air smelled like steel, coffee, and something sharp underneath. At the end of the hall, a door opened. Inside was a room she hadn't seen yet. Cold light spilled down from above. A large glass table sat in the center. Around it, 5 men. Clean suits, rough eyes, every one of them dangerous. They all turned when Damien walked in. One of them stood, taller than the rest. Bald head, scar down his jaw. About time, he muttered. Damien didn't answer, just walked to the table. Sarah followed. No one invited her to sit, so she stayed standing behind Damien, watching. The screens on the far wall came alive. Surveillance, still shots, maps, names. Another man spoke. Younger, skinny, nervous hands. Eli worked for 3 different crews in the past 5 years. No loyalty, but his bank account got a strange deposit 2 nights ago. He pulled up a screen. A wire transfer. 10 grand. No source. No trace. The older man scoffed. 10 grand to try and kill Moretti? That's cheap. Sarah tilted her head. No, she said quietly. They didn't hear her, or pretended not to. She stepped forward, closer to the table. I said no, she repeated. They all looked at her now. What's that supposed to mean? The scarred one asked. Damien looked up at her. Sarah pointed at the paused footage on the screen. Go back. 30 seconds. The young tech guy frowned. Why? Just do it, Damien said. The screen rolled back, then froze. Sarah stepped closer, pointed at the edge of the frame. There. Everyone leaned forward. Behind the bar. In the mirror. Just for half a second. A hand. Sliding a white envelope into another man's jacket. You could barely see it, but it was there. Play it again, Sarah said. The footage rolled. A slick exchange. Fast. Clean. Hidden in plain sight. One man behind the bar. Another in a server uniform. The handoff was smooth. Too smooth. "Who's that?" Damien asked. No one answered. The man with the scar swore under his breath. "That's Frankie. Works kitchen detail. Been with us 3 years." Damien's eyes turned to ice. "He's not just kitchen. He's delivery too. He runs information." Sarah watched the room. Everyone looked tense now. "Then he leaked something," she said. No one argued. The mood changed fast. The map on the screen zoomed in. Someone was already tracking phone pings. Frankie's last signal had gone dark 6 hours ago. "Coward ran," the younger man muttered. Damien stayed quiet. Too quiet. Then he stood. Everyone else followed. "Find him," Damien said. His voice was soft. Too soft. "Bring him here," he added. "And if he's working for who I think he is." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. The room started to move. Fast. People left. Phones lit up. Screens blinked out. Sarah was the only one still sitting. Then Damien turned to her. "You saw that handoff," he said. She nodded. "So did 4 men in this room. And you're the only one who caught it." His voice wasn't angry. It was curious. Like she was some puzzle that kept giving him new edges. He walked to the bar. Poured 2 glasses. This time he handed one to her. She took it. They stood near the window. The whole city spread out under them. Like a maze full of secrets. Sarah took a sip. Smooth. Strong. Didn't burn. She turned to him. "Can I ask something now?" Damien didn't look at her. Just nodded. "The girl in the photo," she said softly. "Was that your sister?" He was quiet for a moment. Too long. Then he spoke. "Yes." Sarah watched his face. The way his jaw locked. The way his eyes stayed on the glass. "She died." His voice was low. Flat. "She trusted someone who shouldn't have been trusted." That was all he said. But it was enough. She didn't ask again. The silence stretched. Warm. Heavy. Strange. Then he looked at her. Really looked. Sarah felt it. Right in her chest. The space between them felt smaller now. Like the room had shifted. His eyes dropped to her lips. Just for a second. Her breath caught. She didn't move. Didn't blink. The city lights flickered outside. Like they were waiting too. Then Damien stepped back. Set his glass down. "I'll see you in the morning," he said. And he walked away. No kiss. No touch. Just silence. But that silence said more than words ever could. The place smelled like dust and danger. The floors were sticky. The air thick with old liquor and bad memories. Mirrors cracked. Chairs broken. Everything left behind like someone ran out in the middle of the night and never came back. But tonight the club was waking up. Just enough lights to cast shadows. Just enough sound to feel alive. This was Damien's plan. His game. His stage. Sarah walked in slow. Boots crunching glass. Black dress tight, simple, clean. Hair pinned back like it had never come undone. Face calm. But inside she was fire. She had helped plan the whole thing. A fake tip leaked through a dummy phone line. A whisper in the right ear. A lie wrapped in just enough truth to taste real. It would bring someone out. Not the boss, but a middleman. The kind who passed orders without ever knowing the whole story. Sarah was the bait. Her idea. Damien said no at first. Then he looked in her eyes and saw it. That steel behind the calm. That spark that didn't belong to someone who just served drinks. So he gave in. But with conditions. She'd wear a wire. Keep the earpiece in. Follow every cue. And she agreed. Because she was tired of standing behind glass. She wanted to see who was pulling the strings. Now she stood behind the bar. Fake name tag. Towel slung over her shoulder. From the outside, She looked like a regular server. From the inside, she was all eyes. Damien sat in the back booth, half in shadow, dressed down, unarmed. At least that's how it looked. Two men on standby by the exits. Mic feeds open. Car waiting outside, engine running. Every second ticked louder. Then the door creaked open. He walked in, alone. Gray coat, no smile. Dark eyes scanning the room like he already knew it was wrong. Sarah saw it in his walk. Too slow, too careful. He was the middleman, Eli's handler. The kind of man who watched first, asked second, killed third. He came to the bar, ordered a whiskey, no ice. Sarah poured it. Hand steady. He looked at her. First time working here? He asked. She smiled. Soft, sweet. No, just your first time noticing. He didn't smile back, just watched. Too long. Something in his eyes flickered. Then he looked past her, to the mirrors, to the corners. He knew. She felt it. Her pulse jumped. She tilted her head just slightly. Code blue, she whispered under her breath. The handler stood fast. Hand went to his waist. Gun. Sarah ducked behind the bar. Shouting started. One of Damien's men yelled. A shot rang out. Then another. Glass shattered. A bottle exploded next to her. She crawled low, heart pounding like thunder. Then she saw him. The handler had moved fast, past the booth. Gun raised. He was aiming at Damien. Sarah didn't think. She grabbed the nearest bottle. Thick, full, heavy. She stood and swung. The bottle smashed against the man's head. He dropped like a sack of bricks. Gun skidded across the floor. Silence hit hard. Then footsteps. Damien reached her in 3 strides. His hands were on her arms. Checking. Searching. You're bleeding, he said. Just a small cut on her cheek. Nothing deep. She blinked fast. Her body was shaking now. Everything catching up. He saw it. Damien pulled her close. Not rough. Not cold. Just enough. His hand slid down and found hers. Fingers laced. Warm. He didn't let go. I'm okay, she whispered, but her knees almost gave. He pulled her closer. Let her breathe. Didn't rush. Outside, the sirens hadn't started yet. But inside that room, everything had changed. Sarah wasn't just part of the plan anymore. She was in it. Blood, sweat, fire and all. And Damien Moretti wasn't going to let her face it alone. Not now. Not ever. The city looked different from up here. Peaceful. Quiet. Like it didn't know someone just tried to kill them. But inside Damien's penthouse, peace was dead. The air had changed. Colder. Sharper. The silence wasn't silence anymore. It was rage without a voice. Sarah sat on the velvet arm of the couch, nursing the sting on her cheek. Her fingers still smelled like smoke and old whiskey. Damien stood by the window. Black shirt. No jacket. Hands in his pockets. Face made of stone. She watched the way his jaw shifted. Once. Twice. He wasn't pacing. He was waiting. Then the elevator beeped. Soft chime. His head tilted. Not surprised. He had been expecting this. A moment later, the doors opened. Luca walked in. Tall. Clean. Calm. Dark suit. Perfect tie. Eyes sharp. Smile fake. Sarah didn't blink. She had seen that kind of calm before. It wasn't peace. It was poison. Boss, Luca said, voice smooth. I came as soon as I heard. Damien didn't speak. Didn't move. Luca walked further in. Hands spread like he had nothing to hide. Whoever set that up tonight's trying to make a move on us. I already have men checking the docks and... Stop talking, Damien said. One quiet order. Luca froze. His smile twitched. Damien turned. Slow. full body, and looked him straight in the eyes. "We traced the burner phone," Damien said softly, "back to the same line that sent the tip about the meat." Luca said nothing, but his eyes narrowed. Just a little. "Only 6 people have access to that number." Damien went on. "You, me, and 4 men I know didn't leave their beds tonight." Sarah stood up now. The air was getting thick. Luca still didn't speak. He just adjusted his cuff. "So?" he asked cool. "You think I'm behind this?" Damien stepped forward. 1 step, then 2. "You gave them access," he said, "to my movements, my security, my people." Luca's mouth opened, but no words came out. Damien's voice was ice. "I trusted you." Sarah saw his hands, still in his pockets, still calm. That was more dangerous than shouting. "You're making a mistake," Luca said. His tone was changing, less polished, more sharp. "You think I'd risk everything I built here?" "You didn't build it," Damien said. "I did. You just made calls." Luca took a step back, and that's when Sarah saw it. Fear. Just a flicker in his eyes. But it was there. "I had no choice," Luca snapped. "They're not just another street crew. They've got politicians, bankers, people who move the real strings." Damien's body didn't move, but his voice cut clean. "You sold me for what? A future seat at their table?" "They promised me control," Luca said. "Not just scraps." Sarah moved now, fast, stepped between them. Damien's eyes snapped to her. "Move," he said. "No," she said quietly. "You want me to let him live?" Damien asked. "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "Why?" "Because he's still lying," she said. "And I'm not done watching him do it yet." Luca sneered. "You think you can read me?" Sarah turned to him. "I already did," she said. "Your fingers twitch when you're holding back the truth. You flinch when someone says the word boss, because the person pulling your strings scares you more than Damien ever did." Luca laughed once. Short, dry. "Cute theory. You're not the boss," Sarah said. "But you know who is." She turned back to Damien. "Let me find out." Damien stared at her. Long, hard. The air between them held fire. He could end this right now. One word, one nod. But he didn't. Instead, he gave her that power. He stepped back. His hands dropped to his sides. Then he nodded. Once. "Take him downstairs," Damien told his men. "Don't touch him. Don't talk to him. Just hold him." Luca said nothing as 2 men grabbed him by the arms. But Sarah saw it. He looked at her, and she saw it. That fear again. This wasn't over. This was just the start. The storm had no thunder, but it was already shaking the room. The library was quiet. Books lined every wall like guards watching something they couldn't stop. Rain tapped the windows softly, but inside it was all fire. Sarah stood by the table. Maps spread out. Photos. Blueprints. Every corner of the gala marked in red. Entrances. Security. Blind spots. Escape routes. She traced one line with her finger. Right here. That's the weak point. If they want to sneak someone in, they'll use this corridor. Damien stood across from her, leaning forward, eyes locked on her, not the map. He didn't say anything, not for a while. Then his voice broke the silence. Low, rough. "You shouldn't be here." Sarah looked up. "That's not your call," she said. Damien pushed off the table, walked to the fireplace, lit but barely burning, like even the flames knew not to raise their voice. "You don't know what this is going to become," he said. His back was to her now. "I do," she said, calm. "You think this ends with that gala?" he asked. "That's not the end. That's just the curtain lifting." After that, it gets worse. It gets ugly. It already is, Sarah whispered. He turned, face unreadable, but something behind his eyes cracked. I'm not the man you think I am. Sarah stepped forward. I know exactly what kind of man you are. She didn't blink. You just didn't expect me to still be here. The silence that followed could have dropped glass. Damien's hands curled into fists, but not in anger, in control. He was holding himself back. Sarah kept walking, step by step, slow. The tension in the room rose so high it nearly buzzed. She stopped just inches from him. You want me gone? She asked. Her voice soft, but it cut right through. Say it. He didn't speak, didn't move. Sarah lifted her hand, placed it gently against his chest. His heart was racing, faster than hers, faster than the rain outside. Damien closed his eyes. I've killed people, Sarah, he said. No filter, no shame. I've buried friends, lied to allies, watched my sister die because I trusted the wrong person. Sarah didn't pull her hand away. You think that scares me? She whispered. He opened his eyes. You should run from me. She gave a soft, broken smile. I already did. That's how I ended up in front of you. That was the final crack. The one that broke the walls he had been building since the night she walked into his life. Damien stepped forward. No more space. He didn't speak, didn't ask, just kissed her. And she didn't stop him, because the storm had been building, and they were both done pretending it wasn't there. His hands were in her hair, her arms around his neck. It wasn't soft. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. Two broken pieces crashing into each other. They didn't speak again for a long time. Not when they stumbled through the hallway. Not when they reached the bedroom. The world fell away. No lies. No deals. Just two people finally crossing a line they had drawn too many times. The city kept burning outside. But in that moment they didn't care. Because for once it wasn't about power. Or betrayal. Or blood. It was about need. And what happens when you finally stop running. The sun was only just starting to rise. Soft light slipped through the curtains. The room smelled like sleep and skin and something that didn't have a name yet. Sarah stirred first. Rolled to the side. Damien was gone. But he hadn't left the room completely. On her pillow sat a black envelope. No name. No writing. Just smooth, dark paper sealed with a blood-red stamp. She sat up slowly, hair messy, heart still beating too fast. She opened it. Inside was a single card, matte gold, embossed lettering. You are cordially invited to the Rosehill Gala. Saturday, midnight, formal only, no second chances. She held the card tight, because this wasn't just an invitation. It was the start of the final game. And no one walks into the lion's mouth without choosing who they want to be when they come out the other side. The black dress clung to Sarah like shadow. Her hair was pinned in soft waves. Dark lashes curled to sharpen every glance. She moved through the ballroom like smoke. Seen, not noticed. Exactly how she wanted it. Her earpiece buzzed softly. Eyes on the northeast exit, said Damien's voice. Calm, steady, like he was just walking into a dinner party, not a battlefield. Copy that, she whispered back. The Rosehill Gala was a dream made of silk and secrets. Crystal chandeliers shimmered like fallen stars. Women dripped diamonds. Men smelled like power and old money. But Sarah wasn't here to sparkle. She was here to end this. Across the room, Damien entered. Dark tux, clean cut. Luca walked beside him, smiling like a man with nothing left to lose. Sarah's stomach twisted. They were here to feed the traitor his own trap. And the bait was already inside. Her eyes scanned the floor. Security in black. 2 waiters she didn't recognize. 1 bartender who checked his watch too often. Then she saw him, the puppet master. He stood near the silent auction table, hand resting on a silver cane. Old money smile, gold tie pin, polished teeth. On paper, his name was Charles Venturo, CEO of a clean energy company. In truth, he was the last living boss of the Phoenix Syndicate. A name buried deep, but not gone. Target confirmed, Sarah said under her breath. Red pocket square, gold pin, left ring finger. Damien gave a soft chuckle through the line. Got him, he said, but something felt off. Too clean, too easy. Sarah ducked behind the corner wall, slipped into the security room. The back hallway was quiet. She shut the door, sat at the panel. Fingers flying over the keyboard. Camera feeds blinked to life. Ballroom, lobby, rooftop, side entrance. She pulled up the heat signatures, counted bodies, checked movement. Then her heart stopped. A signature. Too close, too fast. Moving straight for Damien from the garden corridor. Damien, she said fast. Left wing. Red carpet hallway. You've got 1 incoming fast. He turned without hesitation. Pivoted just as a man burst from the hallway with a blade in hand. But Damien was faster. He caught the man by the wrist. Snapped the arm in 1 move. Dropped him like dead weight. Nice catch, Sarah said. But something colder was coming. She felt it. One of the feeds glitched. Then came back. And there, behind the auction booth, stood a face she hadn't seen in years. Heart, gone. Blood, frozen. She leaned closer to the screen. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Pause feed 6. She zoomed in. The man turned his head slightly. Same eyes. Same scar near his brow. Same bracelet made of tiny blue beads. Her brother. Alive. But he was laughing with Venturo. Not a prisoner. Not a victim. Working with them. She blinked hard. Her hands shook. Everything else disappeared. Damien. He heard it in her voice. Something was wrong. I need you to repeat that, he said. My brother is here, she whispered. He's alive. Silence. Then Damien said, Where? Near the auction. Blue suit. No tie. Another pause. I see him. Do not engage, she said quickly. He's not with us. And then Damien's voice changed. Harder. Sharper. Sarah. If your brother is their final play. She stood up. Fast. I'll handle it. 10 minutes later, the rooftop door creaked open. Cool night air hit her skin. The stars above were quiet. Watching. Damien stood near the ledge. Gun holstered. Eyes on her. Beside him, her brother. Hands up. Smiling like it was just another game. Sarah, he said softly. You look different. She didn't smile. You look the same, she said. Like a liar. Damien didn't move. But his jaw was tight. I told them not to hurt you, her brother said. I only worked with them to protect you. Liar, Sarah said again. I had no choice, he went on. They would have killed me. They promised me power. A seat at their table. You were supposed to stay out of it. I was never out of it, she whispered. He stepped closer. Damien's hand moved, but she lifted her palm. She wanted to see her brother's eyes one last time. You used me, she said. You let me think you were dead. I did it for us, he said. But you made your choice when you stood beside him. Then his hand moved. Too fast. Gun pulled from his jacket. Damien raised his. But Sarah was faster. Bang. The sound echoed into the sky. Her brother dropped to his knees. One shot. Right to the heart. He fell. And Sarah fell to her knees beside him. No words. just a soft breath as she watched the light leave his eyes. Damien came to her, pulled her close, let her cry without a sound. There was blood on her hands now, but it wasn't just blood. It was truth. It was loss. It was choice. They stood together under the stars. No one spoke. They didn't have to. Then Damien looked at her. Soft voice. Still think you're just a waitress? She wiped the tear from her cheek. Not anymore.
Thank you so much for staying with me until the very end of this story. If you enjoyed this story, I promise you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more thrilling as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.